Distinguished personages on the stage and patriotic people in this audience. We have been holding this kind of meeting in different cities, which we think are opinion makers in the country. In our country, we do find what the sociologists have called the process of Sanskritization. It's got nothing to do with the word, Sanskrit word for language, but the process of how culture has spread in India. The other day, one of the peons in a government department was walking with his son, and I knew him when I was Commerce Minister. He was the peon was posted in my office, and I saw that his son was a bit bigger when I last saw him. But the son was addressing the father as daddy. So the peon then when he saw me and recognized me, and I said, "Can you explain why your son is calling you daddy in India?" So he said, "बड़े लोग भी कहते हैं daddy, so इसलिए we also have started." So mummy daddy is filtered down from top to bottom. So in our country, that's how culture has traveled. The example set by people of great status, it filters down. When I was a student working for my PhD at Harvard, my American student asked me, "Can you explain why Indians accepted Mahatma Gandhi as leader?" So I said, "What is wrong? I mean, I'm surprised by your question." He said, "No, he's not properly dressed. How can you accept a man who's not properly dressed as leader?" In their country, the leader must be well dressed. The best suit, the best tie, shining shoes. Even the religious leaders, like to say the Pope, they will be dressed in satin and jewels and so on. But look at our society. The tallest leader we had in the 20th century, Mahatma Gandhi, or for that matter, Jayaprakash Nayak, or Vinoba Bhave, so many of the people so scantily dressed in such inferior cloth. But we venerated them. Look at our sadhus and sannyasis. The best known names today amongst our spiritual world, they just wear nothing but a bhagwa. In the ancient society, the Raja could never take a decision without the consultation of the Maharishis. And these Maharishis used to be very simply dressed. They used to be living in a hut with no weapons, no land, no property. So our society was structured differently. And therefore, I think because of that, we have lasted as the longest civilization in world history, continuing civilization. History books have tabulated 46 civilizations, all finished. But this civilization is still continuing. So those values which are relevant today in the modern world must be extracted, and then our younger generation should be brought up with that. Dr. Mulidan was talking about our ancient ways of thinking. I once looked at this, and went to our old scripts and scripture books and tried to extract what would be the way of thinking. I mean, we have Upanishads and we have had great thinkers like Shankara. And Shankara was such a great thinker that he could find answers to almost every situation. Once he was teaching his students in his ashram, and a mad elephant rushed in. So now, just at that time, he was teaching the students that everything is Maya. What you see is not real. But when he saw the elephant, he got up and started running, and he told the students also to start running. So one student said to him, "You told us that everything is Maya. The elephant also should be Maya, so why are you running?" So he said, "Who says I'm running? That is also Maya." So by these examples, these things were put across. After extracting this thing, I then examined what the West is being taught as intelligence. And I found that they have just given new names, but it's more or less the same. It's like that Deepak Chopra who writes about and he sold millions and millions of dollars worth of book. All he has done is he's translated into American English in Bhagavad Gita, that's all. So all this wisdom, for example, in the West they say that intelligence has 6 parts, 6 dimensions. That's all there in the Upanishads. First dimension is, they say, is cognitive intelligence. Physics, mathematics, recognizing, cognitive means recognizing. And today our education system only teaches this. How to be pass exams in mathematics, physics, economics, so on. But slowly the curriculum in the West is now, at least in the top universities, being redesigned to include other forms of intelligence. The second form of intelligence is emotional intelligence. How to talk, how to persuade the other person to your point of view, what logic should be used, how do you put across your ideas, and make that other person come to yours. Now, it's not possible always to find that somebody is ready to come to your point of view. Some people are dogmatic. So then supposing you are arguing with a communist, it's no use arguing with a communist. But they have got set ideas. You can never change them. But normal people, so you have to argue in such a way that he gets convinced. Now, you can be brilliant, but if you are a rude, rough person, you will not get people to come around to your point of view. So this emotional intelligence is also in. Now there's a full book, not one, but many books written on emotional intelligence. You can go to Amazon.com or Google and get that. So first is cognitive intelligence. All what you are taught today in schools and colleges, mathematics, physics, etc. Second is emotional intelligence. The third is social intelligence. That is, you pursue your goals within the framework of protecting your social fabric. Those that require reform in social fabric, of course you will reform. But you must not do something that is antisocial. That's where the word patriotism itself comes. Where you place your own pursuits, your own goals, your aspirations in sync with or in harmony with social or national objectives. You don't do something that will harm the nation. Then the fourth dimension of intelligence is moral intelligence. That you do not pursue your goals in life, you do not think in ways by which you harm somebody who is not in any way harming you. I can start a factory and pump smoke into the atmosphere. I'll make profit. But I will create health problems because I'm pumping the smoke into the air. That means you lack moral intelligence. You're not able to design your activity in such a way the society will be protected. Then there is something called environmental intelligence, which our sadhu sannyas have been talking for centuries. Only now it's become fashionable for NGOs to talk about the environment. Why do we worship rivers? Why do we worship stones? Why should we worship nature? Why do we have so many festivals surrounding it? Because we think that the environment must be protected. And finally, something which the rishis had told their best students, which is now being taught in advanced courses in America. And that's called spiritual intelligence. See, the rishis said that all knowledge is in the Brahman. Brahman, the English word for it is cosmos. Surrounding the earth is knowledge. You may not see it as knowledge, but it depends on your mind's ability to convert it. You will not see wireless at all, but if I pick up the phone and dial my cell phone, somebody else will pick it up there and hear me. But you don't see the voice traveling. So, therefore you develop your mind in such a way that you can connect into that cosmos. That is called, the Americans call it the neural Wi-Fi. So, you don't see Wi-Fi here, but this hotel you can type a letter and email and it will be picked up in America. How does it travel? You don't see it. But there they will see it in print. You will type it in print here, in the sense you will type it into your computer. So, these are some of the frontier areas of knowledge which will make you into a new person. We have today the youngest population in the world. Average age of Indians is 26 years old. Average age of a Chinese is 36, because they followed this one child per family family planning drive, which everybody appreciated at that time. Mrs. Gandhi tried to copy it in the emergency, and the people revolted and voted her out. Because of the people of India said, yes, we are not against family planning. In fact, we are the first country to introduce official policy of family planning. But we will not accept force. We will make our own judgment. So our population growth rate has been declining. It was 2.2% in 1960-61 census. Today it is down to 1.8%. That's a slow decline. As a consequence, while others have been declining fast. In the case of Europe and America, of course, after reaching a certain development, it has started to decline fast. But Japan, China, they forced the pace. And today, their aging population, Japan is 49%, 49 years is the average age of their population. Europe is 46. Americans, because of immigration, is 37. So, why is this important to have a young population? Because economists know that economic growth is not just putting more capital and more labor. Economic growth accelerates when you put in new innovations. Like before you were walking, then you went by bullock cart, then you went by car, then you went by locomotives, then you went by jet engine. Now you go through the computer. You don't even have to go. The computer will take you instantly. You can have video conferencing. You can run a company from one place in 27 countries. So these are innovations which have been coming. More innovations are going to come. Some of them we need badly. we need today to change our automobiles from petrol and diesel to hydrogen fuel cells. Toyota has already cracked that code as the barriers of research, and now is going to start producing cars which run on hydrogen fuel cells. Hydrogen fuel cells means you charge it overnight, next whole day you can travel 350 kilometers. And if you put charging stations like you put petrol stations, then you will have automobiles running on these batteries. That means you won't have to import oil from abroad. Because today we import 86% of our oil, and they can change prices whenever they want. Arabs have no shortage of money. You know why? They dig a hole in the ground, some oil comes out, and they sell it. You go and see these countries, there's no industry there. There are lovely buildings and all that, but there's no industry because they don't need industry, just put a hole in the ground. Now, if we are also done a lot of research. If tomorrow our young people are motivated, put in and say, by the year 2018, we must start having hydrogen fuel cell cars, and we should go away from petrol and diesel. It will be a huge strength for the country, and these young people can do it, because they come fresh, with fresh minds out of the universities. And then what will the impact? The other countries will also follow suit. China will follow suit. China is not doing research on this. They haven't got enough people. We are a little ahead of most people, but we are stopped short. We started solar energy before anybody else, but now the Israelis have overtaken us. So hydrogen fuel cells, if you bring in, the effect will be that Middle East, all these people will have to go back to their tents and their camels. That's where they came. And I'm particularly concerned because today a caliphate has been set up in Iraq. And have you named the caliph whom they renamed? Al-Baghdadi, they renamed him as Caliph Ibrahim. He wants to rule all over the world. And all Muslims, he say, are citizens of my caliphate. It's not a new concept, it's an old concept. In fact, Caliph Umar had gone and conquered most of Europe, right up to Spain. And he came eastward, and he wanted to conquer India. He announced he's going to conquer India. This is around 1738, 1740. Not 17, 738, 740. And he announced it. He came, he sent his chief commander-in-chief here. And just two kings, one of Gujarat and another of Andhra called Chalukya, they combined. Hindus never combined, but then they combined that time. They combined and defeated them. The first and only thing. The Khalif suffered, and that after that collapsed. Later on it came because of treachery within our own ranks. There is Jai Chand, or there is the Pujari in Somnath. When we get united, nobody can defeat us. In this election, what was the difference between this election and previous elections? Leader. In this election, a larger number of Hindus united, rose above their castes and regions, and you got absolute majority. All their appeasement of Congress and all just went down the drain. This country, today we need a one single mind. I'm not saying we should keep the Muslims out. Not at all. Why not at all? Because their DNA is the same as our DNA. Their ancestors are the same as our ancestors. So they are part of our family. But they must recognize it. Their mullahs don't allow that. They say, no, if you start recognizing this, then the Muslims will get closer to Hindus, and then soon they will become Hindus also. But we are not a proselytizing religion. Parsis, you see, such a small number, they still exist only in India. They were driven out of Iran, they exist only in India. The Jews were persecuted everywhere in the world. They came to India, we built them the synagogues. You can still see the synagogues in Kochi. And when they went back to Israel, when Israel was founded again, and the first parliament session after the adopting constitution, they passed a resolution, thank you India, the only country where Jews were not persecuted. So that was our way of looking at things. And undercurrent has always been a strong cultural root that every Indian has. No, I had a student at Harvard who was from Saudi Arabia. He one day asked me, I need to ask you a question because my university has asked me to ask you. So what is the question? Why, he said, is India still 80% Hindu? It's a funny question you're asking me, why? He said, see, when Muslims conquered Iran, there were Zoroastrians who were ruling. Within 15 years, we converted Iran into 100% Muslim. Iraq, 17 years. Egypt, 21 years. Christians converted Europe in 50 years. 100%. But in your country, 800 years of Muslim rule, 200 years of Christian rule, and you're still 80%. What is the secret? The secret is that India kept fighting. Maybe some places victorious, some places Shivaji was victorious, but Rana Pratap was defeated. Mahatma Gandhi was victorious, but Subhash Chandra Bose was defeated. But see this culture, we venerate both of them equally. Rana Pratap was approached by his cousin, Man Singh, when Akbar had defeated him and he had gone to the forest and he had nothing with him. So he used to take grass, dry it, make it into paste and eat chapati made out of it. There's a lot of protein. Chapati. That's how these animals like cows and horses survive. So his cousin came and said, I've got a message from Akbar. So what's the message? He said, you accept him as Badshah of India, that is the Emperor of India, and he will return all your palaces, everything, like he has done with me. So Rana Pratap said, no, I will not do that. I will not call him Emperor of India. So his cousin said, what, you're going to spend all your life eating this kind of existence? What are you going to get out of it? He said, what am I going to get out of it? Future generation mothers will name their sons after me, but they'll spit on your name. That's what it is. And you can see that today in Rajasthan. And people were like that. Kattabomman in Tamil Nadu, Rani Chennamma in Karnataka. They lost. Rani Jhansi lost. But we still treat them as heroes. You will not find this in any other culture, where losers are also celebrated as great. It's that courage that was less recognized. So what I am trying to see today is that we need a new kind of political thinking in our country. And that can be only done through the educated classes. And suddenly out of the blue, this new medium has come, this Twitter. And this Twitter, Facebook, etc. It has revolutionized the way communication is taking place. How minds are set, you don't have to travel long distances to convince people, it's all done instantaneously. So can we form an organization which becomes an intellectual umpire or an intellectual counterforce, so that people in power stay within the limits and they do not take for granted the 5 years that they get as mandate. And I can see today even the Prime Minister says to the ministers, better participate in Twitter than satisfy people. He himself is on Twitter. So, and Twitter is even, Obama is on Twitter, almost everybody is on Twitter today. So it is from that point of view, because all the conspiracies against us has been only to see we get divided. Somehow we get divided. Mention was made of Macaulay. The whole history today is all bunkum. Aryans, Dravidians. Where is the word Aryan in any of our scriptures? Not there. Word Arya is there. That means gentleman only. Cultured person. Dravida is a term meant for South India. The sandhi of two words, throw and with, which Adi Shankaraja used it when he went up North India. They asked him, who are you? He said, I'm Dravida Shishu. So they said, what is this Dravida? Then he explained. But the British converted it into a community, into a nation. And they got some idiots in Tamil Nadu to accept this. Today, Karunanidhi and Jayalalitha are opposing a Sanskrit week. If then go and change your name, I tell Jayalalitha. Why you have got Jayalalitha? That's a Sanskrit name. Karunanidhi is a Sanskrit name. Take out the dictionary and count the words which have the same origin as Sanskrit. I mean, the Sanskrit root. You will have 42% of the most Dravidianized dictionary showing that 42% of Tamil words are the same. I explained this once to Karunanidhi. He said, no, Sanskrit, Tamil, Sanskrit stole it from Tamil. So fine. At least it's common, no. Your own name is Sanskrit. So, therefore, and Kannada is much more. Telugu, tremendously high proportion, is 60. Bengali is almost 80. So is Malayalam 80. So this is Sanskrit is a language which is going to unite us in the future again. Shankara, you see, when he defeated Uttara Mimamsa school and the Buddhism, his chelas also said, shall we burn all these Buddhist books? He said, no, we can't do that. He said, but they all teach Pali. So he said, don't wipe out Pali, just go on Sanskritizing Pali. Start using vocabulary from Sanskrit in Pali. And in another few years, it will become Sanskrit. Today we have Hindi, which is today understood by maybe 75% of the people. Start using Sanskrit words instead of Urdu. I'm not against Urdu. Urdu should be developed as a separate language. But Hindi should be Sanskritized in vocabulary because that brings you close to everybody. And we can integrate ourselves. And Sanskrit is the language of the future. How do I know this? Please go to Google and type NASA, NASA, and Sanskrit. And what will you find? That for the most advanced field of computers, they have now accepted that knowledge should be stored in the computer through Sanskrit because it is the most computer-friendly language in the world. And Sanskrit is now being taught. In British schools, Sanskrit is being taught because they say it creates vibration in your body, which is good. British schools. So, in our own country, we don't want to have anything with Sanskrit. But the fact is that Sanskrit is going to be the future language. Because for computers, for storing of knowledge, it's the most perfect. It's Devanagari script, which is very similar in structure to all, because they all come from the same Brahmi parent. This is the way we can propagate it. Our class may not have learned Sanskrit, but we can propagate it. We can say yes. a week of Sanskrit or a competition in Sanskrit, or knowledge of Sanskrit or optional Sanskrit, that should be done. So today I would say this assembly that we have, that I'm seeing here, and so I saw it in Chennai, all of them accept that we are one nation, and that I can prove by DNA. I even did it with Mr. Raj Thackeray in Bombay, when he was saying that UP taxiwala is taking us Marathis jobs away, he should go away. So I got somebody to get a hair sample of Raj Thackeray from his hairdresser. And by hair and skin you can decide the DNA, you don't need blood. And sent it to some laboratory, I won't name it, in Hyderabad, where they did their DNA. And I paid 100 rupees to one taxi driver, as a UP taxi driver. They gave me one sample there. And their DNA is the same. And I have said it publicly, that Raj Thackeray has also come from UP because his DNA is the same. People mistakenly think that skin color is different. That's why no, skin is not to do with pigmentation. The sun. In fact, if we are closer to the equator, the sun is direct rays. You take out the pigmentation, your color will become as white as the white man's. And Michael Jackson, the singer, did it. He took it out of his pigmentation and became a white man. Color has got nothing to do with race. It is the DNA structure, and there we are one people. This oneness has to come. And when originally the caste system was designed, it was not birth-based. It was discipline-based. It's there in the Gita also, it's there in Upanishads. It's got to do with the discipline you accept. If you want to be a Brahmin, you must be in the educational field. You may use your education for advising the king, but you must have education, but you must not have property, you must not have weapons, and you must not have land. That is the concept of Brahmin. And you're going to be born anywhere. For instance, Vishwamitra was born in a Kshatriya family. He became rishis. Rishis of rishis. Of all the rishis, he was the top rishi. What about Kalidasa? He was cutting wood in the forest. Became the greatest poet. Veda Vyasa, his mother was a fisherwoman, everybody knows. He became one of the, he wrote the Mahabharata. And what about Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana, he is the scheduled caste. But we have this complex somewhere. I often wondered, you see, Dr. Ambedkar went in 1916 to Columbia University, wrote a PhD thesis in economics, which I can say, which I have read, still stands as a classic. Only we have not propagated it. Then he went to London and got a law degree, came back and became chairman of the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly. And congressmen referred to him as Bhim Rao. Jawaharlal Nehru went to Cambridge University, failed his exam there. Like all Nehrus, they all failed. There is no exception. Perhaps the only exception I know is Varun Gandhi, but he is not considered a Nehru anyway. And he got what is called the gentleman degree. He got the gentleman degree which they used to give to colonials, people who came from colonies. As a gentleman pass, it was called. He came back and people of India started calling him Panditji. I mean, you call Bhimrao Ambedkar as Panditji, I can understand. But to call Jawaharlal Nehru Panditji is actually a shame on Panditji. There is another great Panditji here. Welcome, sir. Welcome. So I am saying to you today, if Ambedkar can come from the scheduled caste community and shine like this, where in what way is this justified? It was based on birth? No. It was based on your adherence to that discipline. Today there is no discipline on this. So let's forget about all these divisions and henceforth regard ourselves as nothing but Hindus. We are Hindus from top to bottom. I'm willing to expand that concept and say we can call ourselves as Hindustanis. If those who are not Hindus but are willing to acknowledge that their ancestors were Hindus, which is what their DNA says anyway, like the Muslims, the Christians I think already accept this. Muslims in particular, if they were to accept, we are not descendants of Muhammad Ghori and Muhammad Ghazni, but we are from this, for whatever reason, force or convention or whatever, we became Muslims, but we are original, our ancestors Hindus, then we all combined, Hindus plus those other minorities who accept that their ancestors are Hindus, together constitute the identity of Hindustani. What about people who come from abroad now and settle down here? Well, of course they are Indian citizens. We welcome them. Recently the British Prime Minister said Britain is a Christian country. Somebody said, what about all the Muslims, Hindus and all? Yes, they are citizens of Britain. But the identity of Britain is a Christian identity. In America, their identity has been described as white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian, speaking English. These five criteria. What about Mexicans? What about Indians? What about Koreans? They are citizens of America. But the identity of America is white, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant, Christian, speaking English. So India is a land of Hindus and those others whose ancestors are Hindus. And if there is anybody else who comes in here, settles down here, welcome as citizens. Of course, I can't, we can't say Parsis are citizens because Parsis have intermarried. So through generations, they have connections with Hindus. This identity has to be developed, and the unity of Hindus has produced as yet unrecognized revolution in this latest election. You have got elected without appeasing the Muslim community and got absolute majority. So therefore, I would say this is who are these people, this kind of Indians potentially? It is the Twitter crowd. Highly professional, don't bother where they live, they can move to any part of India, they can speak the same language, the same cultural habits. So this Twitter crowd, if it becomes into an organization, an all India organization, then in my opinion, you can have a situation where there is a countervailing force which people are afraid of. Those who want to deviate, who want to do selfish things while in power, they will be kept in check. We need that. We have it in many other countries. United States, the intellectuals there, the thinking crowd, they play a major role. In fact, the president cannot make a policy unless it comes from the think tanks, position papers. And of course, over a period of time, out of this Twitter crowd must come new politicians, educated, who have massive funds. How to enter politics? Well, I hope to set up an institute once I raise some money to teach people how to come to politics, how to, fix the crooks in the country. I have no weapons, I have no money, I have no backers, but I can make help for any crook in this country. I'm hoping to see on 7th August, Madam Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and four of our associates standing in Patiala House Court and the junior most magistrate, a young girl who has just become magistrate. What courage she has shown. She will probably ask them first, do you plead guilty? They will say no. Then they will have to take bail. I will oppose bail, saying they will run away to Italy. Probably magistrate will say, all right, then deposit the passport. At least then I can see what kind of passports they have. This is happening in India, where people are despondent. I remember when I took the 2G, people were despondent. No, Minister will never go to jail. And very soon, Mr. Raja will go to jail. He has elongated it by offering to be a minister himself. I'm hoping that he will say that I decided everything this in the company of Chidambaram, so then I'll go looking for Chidambaram again. I don't know who will go first in Chidambaram's family to jail, him or his son, but yes, son will have to make a specially large jail for them. So I'm saying this is all happening before your eyes. When we fought the emergency, everybody said poor people of India will never vote for democracy. Why are you wasting your time fighting this? This is the way the third world is moving, dictatorship. But then, when the elections came, Mrs. Gandhi was defeated in her own constituency. Yes. So therefore, this country has shown so many times, given the opportunity, because of its long continuing civilization. This is what we have to nourish by creating a new Indian. And a new Indian must know his true history, not this bogus history that we have been taught for years. There is a history which tells us the correct history of India will fire the imagination of our young people. We are working on it. And you can see already the communists are so agitated about it. So I have been told to keep some time for questions. My message to you is that this is a long-term movement that we have started, the Tweeple conference, the Patriotic Tweeple conference, because this is a crowd which doesn't have to depend on politics, but this is a crowd which can analyze, think about it, stand on our own feet, so it's not afraid of anybody, not dependent on anybody. This crowd we are trying to convert it into a national force, and that's why on 14th September I've called an all India conference in a large auditorium of the Constitution Club in Delhi, which is near Parliament House, and then start working of the networking by which this creation of a national view grows. All the agendas that we have been thinking is impossible to implement can be implemented quickly. We don't need a new constitution now. This constitution is a Hindutva constitution, I am telling you. There is nothing that you say which is not there. Banning of house robber is there in the constitution. Uniform civil code is there in the constitution. So, development of Sanskrit, that's there in the constitution. Article 370, it's a temporary provision. It's there in the constitution. Do you need a parliament vote for it? No. What do you need? Mr. Mukherjee, Pranab Mukherjee issuing a notification. Article 370 stands abolished. No, he has no choice. The cabinet adopts the resolution, sends it to him, and then please announce it. And he has no other work except to announce it. Will our cabinet do it? They better do it. The good thing about the BJP is that nothing is owed to one family. There are so many interacting institutions. The party itself consists of people who have not come because of family reasons. Who can say that Narendra Modi became Prime Minister because of his family background? If there is anything, that is the very background which should have held him back. But he has come, he's crossed it and come. He himself represents a social revolution. And the party president, he cannot take decisions alone. He has to go to Nagpur and say, can I... So these checks and balances are there only in the BJP. And this needs an intellectual input. And that intellectual input we hope to provide with this creation of this new organization, which we hope to formalize on 14th September in Delhi. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite the Honourable Member of Parliament, Mr.